It's ConnectiCon 2016. Being a Big Podcast is here, checking out everything that's going on. There's a lot of cosplayers, a lot of other stuff going on. We got some cool guests we're able to talk to. We got some authors, we got some bands possibly, and more. So stay tuned for it. All coming at you. It's ConnectiCon 2016. Everything's happening. There's people on the stairs. There's people getting pictures taken. There's this gentleman walking in front of me. All things are happening. It's ConnectiCon 2016. It is the Being a Big broadcast. Eat bran flakes, everybody.
Round of applause, guys. Jeez.
Very kind of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for coming in today.
No problem. My pleasure. I love ConnectiCon. Always a pleasure to help out.
Awesome. So just for the people who don't know, please just give us a brief summary of what you do, who you are, and what you're about.
Sure. My name is Michael Terracciano. I'm the writer for the webcomic Star Power. Before that, I was the writer and creator of the webcomic Dominic Deegan, Oracle for Hire. I'm heavily involved in ConnectiCon. I do a lot of events here. I do a lot of panels. The biggest thing I do for ConnectiCon is I host the Cosplay Deathmatch, which is the final show of in the main event scheduling tonight. From what they tell me, it has taken the spot of where the Masquerade used to be because it's grown so big and popular. So I'm very proud of the Deathmatch and what it's become.
I'll open the floor right now to questions for anyone who has them. Really? Okay.
No, it's cool. I mean,
yeah.
What's that?
Will we see the return of the mascot?
The mascot, no, I forgot to bring the teddy bear. I had to pack up my baby, and he's scared of the bloody teddy bear, sadly. 1 year at the death match, somebody was a little zombie girl, and had like a bloodied teddy bear, and I'd asked if I could hold the teddy bear for a few rounds, and I said to the crowd, yeah, I think we found the cosplay deathmatch mascot this year, and the crowd erupted, like, oh my God, bloody teddy bear! This is the greatest thing I've ever seen! And then the girl who brought the teddy bear took it back because it was hers, and I was like, I need that teddy bear back. And she's like, I'm sorry, I've grown attached to it because you gave it a name. Like, shoot. Now, last year, somebody was kind enough to sew and make a brand new bloody teddy bear. Problem is, it scares my 1-year-old, and I can't exactly bring that in the car with him, so we are going to be without deathmatch mascot this year, sadly. Does anybody know what the deathmatch is? No. All right, cool.
Yeah, no.
Well, for you don't know, the deathmatch is when we bring up, it used to be the cosplay chess match, and I hosted that for a number of years. And the chess match would go on, you know, the people playing the chess match would have the people in costume take one another, like the pawn would take another pawn, and those pawns would fight. The winning pawn would win, the other one would die, they would go away. People loved the fights, but the crowd was getting a little dulled during the chess part of the match. So at the end of the chess match, people who didn't get a chance to like fight and who just ended up being like chess pieces that just stood around, we were like, all right, no, everybody needs to get involved in this. Let's just have the crowd vote on who wins and who dies. Let's bring up all the remaining chess pieces and we'll kill them off one by one. The crowd ate that up. All I had to do was just like put my hand over this character and put my hand over that character, and the crowd would go, no. Yeah! Murder that character!
Just like Rome.
Yeah, right? I was like some weird gladiator MC. I don't know if that was a thing. I was the emperor. No, the crowd was the emperor. And I was like, yes, no. So much so that some girl in costume, when she felt the yelling of the crowd for her to win, she looks at me and she goes, whoa. And it was at that moment I knew I had something. It was like, just this needs to happen. Get the chess out of this.
Everything out of the way.
Everything out of the way. Let's not do so much planning. That's easier for the main events crew.
Right, yeah.
Let's just get people in costume and let the crowd decide who wins. And if they're not happy about it, well, it's their fault.
Because you can't duplicate that energy, you know.
No, you cannot. And getting people, it's just being on stage and feeling that excitement of the crowd cheering for either the character that's in the best, like has the most accurate costume, the person that's in character the most. It's weird to see who wins. Like sometimes it's the best costume, sometimes it's the one who's the most in character. I never know what's going to happen, and it's exciting. So I cannot wait for the death match tonight, 6:45 in main events. It's going to be thrilling.
Main events?
Yeah.
Write that down. Jot that down. You need to cover that.
It's going to be thrilling. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait.
We're short on time, so yeah, we'll get one more. Yeah.
Pookie, we've been following you since we first started here at ConnectiCon. How did you get started in ConnectiCon? I know you have the webcomic, and
Right. I got started in ConnectiCon because I was exhibiting at the first ever Anime Boston. And it just so happened Matt Daigle, who was promoting the first ever ConnectiCon, just happened to have a table right next to us. We got tables at the first Anime Boston for like $15 that week. Yeah, right? In the Park Plaza Hotel. Yeah, right? It was a hell of a weekend. And I just happened to see this like 6-foot-tall dude in like a stormtrooper helmet. And we just became friends. Like, we had the weekend together. We were all kind of stuck in this, like, what the hell is happening? The fire marshal's being called into the Park Plaza Hotel. But what? Hello, you seem friendly. Let's talk. And we just became friends. And he was like, this is the show I'm promoting. You want to come? Like, yeah, sure. Sounds like a lot of fun. So I came to the very first ever ConnectiCon back in 2003 at the University of Hartford. And Matt and I had seen each other, I think, in a few places leading up to ConnectiCon, and we just stayed friends afterwards, and I kept coming to the show, and my first webcomic started to take off, and Matt was really cultivating ConnectiCon as a home for webcomics back in, like, between 2003 and, I guess, 2010. Long time, ConnectiCon was a real home for webcomics, and we've just stayed friends. People seem to love me here at ConnectiCon. They respond to me well when I'm doing panels and when we do the death match. And he just sort of kept us around. And I feel like we give back to ConnectiCon as much as they give to us.
Woo!
Gotta go. Cool, thank you guys.
What else on behalf of today? Thank you so much. Where do we expect to find you after today?
Oh, right. I am down at the Star Power booth in the exhibit hall in the online media guest hall. We're right next to Cyanide and Happiness. You cannot miss us.
All right, thank you so much. That concludes
Thanks, guys.
today's,
All right, so we're wandering around ConnectiCon, and we've come across Captain Obvious. Obviously, we found Captain Obvious. So, Captain Obvious, what is your real name, and where are you from?
My name is Aaron Scott, and I'm from right here in Hartford.
Wow, not obviously. You're right here in Hartford at Hartford Comic-Con. Look at that, use an obvious thing. It's going to get used to it. Get used to it. It's going to happen a lot. So, what made you want to be Captain Obvious?
Well, amazingly enough, I won this off of his Twitter, @CaptainObvious. He had a Find the Difference in His Pictures contest for Halloween. I spotted them all, tweeted them at him. Sure enough, he direct messaged me saying, hey, you won my costume. So Halloween was definitely lit, and plenty more Halloweens will be lit to come.
Wow, so that's awesome. So you didn't have to even do anything for your costume. It was given to you. That is awesome.
Basically, yeah. He gifted it to me with his own personal letterhead.
That is fantastic. So is this the first time you've worn it to a con, or have you worn it at other cons?
This is the first time I've worn it to a con, yes.
This is your debut as
yes.
Captain Obvious.
Yes, it is.
So here's a question I would wonder, because there's a lot of people dressed up I don't know half of them. Has anyone else noticed that you're Captain Obvious?
You are the 6th person, I believe.
Oh, 6th! Yes! That means I'm in the 6-pack of people. So that's awesome. So where else are you going to go as Captain Obvious? Do you have any other plans to go take Captain Obvious on the road? Maybe use a certain website to get to these places?
I would perhaps consider using Hotels.com. However, aside from Halloween, I'm not sure where Captain Obvious is going to go next, but he will always be around, obviously.
Obviously. So we'll be back with more. We're here with Captain Obvious. Obviously, we're having a great time at ConnectiCon. How you doing? We're here with Exiled 7. Tell us a bit about Exiled 7 and how you're involved in it.
Well, the Exiled 7 is a traditional fantasy tale. It's kind of a reversal of the Snow White fairy tale, but instead of Snow White being our main character, it's our dwarfs. And our dwarfs are 7 ex-soldiers who have been exiled for treason, a crime they didn't commit, by the way, and that's not a spoiler because it's on the back of the book.
Okay.
And as they make their way across the continent, they're taken in and rescued by a beautiful and mysterious outsider named Tiana, who I guess you would call our Snow White character in this book. And she's been living in the forest for a long time, so she's very mysterious, has a lot of mystery about her. And well, the rest is the book, and I can't really tell you too much about it.
Yeah, you gotta buy the book.
Yeah, I work for Englewood Publishing House.
Okay.
We're an independent publisher based out of Pennsylvania, and this is actually our first jump into literary fiction. We've done some academic publishing in the past.
Okay.
And this is our 6th con this year. We've been to several up and down the East Coast, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
So is it like, who's it like geared towards? You would you usually say is it like a young reader or a teenage reader?
I would say probably a young adult, new adult, 10th grade and up. It's pretty low key as far as the violence is concerned, but it's just a good story. It's a good story.
So if anyone wants to look for the XL7, where would they go to get it?
You can get it on Amazon in paperback or Kindle, iBooks, Nook, and Kobo. And actually, in honor of comic book season, Comic-Con season, we've got the ebooks are on sale right now for $2.99. So it's a hard deal to pass up for a good story.
All right. So keep an eye out for XL7, and we'll be back with more in just a bit. And we're back here at the ConnectiCon, the Bean and Make podcast. I'm here with Quincy Allen, author, writer, snazzy dresser.
Yes, thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about your book, Blood Ties.
Blood Ties. So the short version is it's a clockwork gunslinger in the Old West that has to stop a demon apocalypse from wiping out 2 worlds. It's, I'm pretty sure, the only steampunk out there that starts in Old West, becomes steampunk, and by the end of the series is full-on epic fantasy. So he's a clockwork gunslinger at the beginning of it, but by the end of it he's dealing with elves, high vampires. I'm actually going to have I explain what happened to the Cahokia Indians. If anybody, you probably never heard of Cahokia, but look it up. Google.
I've heard of Indians.
Yeah, so Cahokia, it's really kind of neat. Back in like the 1200s, there was a civilization right where St. Louis is now. They were mound builders. They were like, they estimate 20 to 30,000 Native Americans in the country, and in 1200 they disappeared. Nobody knows where or why.
Kind of like the Incas.
Kind of like that. I explain why in the series anyway. So you find out what happened to the Cahokians. So,
very cool.
Shooting, of course.
Well, hey, it's a Western. You can't have shooting in
That's
it.
right.
So how many books are in the series?
There's a total of 6, but only 2 are out. We just released book 2, which is Blood Curse. Would have been, where was I? What? It's Tuesday. I must be in Berlin. Houston, right?
Okay.
Houston, Comicpalooza. So we debuted book 2. This one came out in October last year, and I'm hoping to have another one about every 6 months. So we're going to knock through it pretty fast, if I can find the time to write.
So how long does it take to write a book?
Well,
Per average.
It varies. So my first novel, which was like 146,000 words, took me 2 months to write.
That would take me 2 years.
Yeah, there was this story there. It had been kind of, building up for a while.
Yeah.
These actually, I got both books out in about, total writing time, about 8 months. But then there was some editing and our production time. So, and originally the 2 books were one, but we wanted to actually split it up for, just to make it an easier package at the shows.
Yeah. So is this your first book that you've written, or have you done other stuff before
This
this?
was my second.
Okay.
So Chemical Burn was the first one. That's an alien ex-government assassin turned private detective in L.A. who pretty much slaughters
Common
the
story.
Italian mob. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he
Heard that story so many times.
an initial beta reader described him as a psychopath. But he's really a good guy. He is. He's misunderstood, I guess.
Some of the best good guys are psychopaths, really.
We liken him to, if you were to cross the Punisher and Deadpool and Sam Spade from the
Sold.
1940s. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is. And I've had the past 4 shows, I've had somebody come up and ask, well, when's the sequel coming out? Because it's been out for a while. It's shame on me. But it's like, okay, now I have to write it.
Yeah.
I had this, but I got to write that. So yeah, and I'm hoping to have that next springish. And that one's called it'll be called Dios de los Muertos, God of the Dead.
Very nice.
There's a whole reason for that. He goes up against the Mexican drug cartel that was funneling the drugs to the Italians. Yeah, so he goes right up.
So if you're looking for a book, where would you go about getting it?
Ultimately, here at one of our shows, you can always check the Wordfire Press site or my webpage for where we're going to be, and that's the booth, Wordfire Press, with the Tower of Nerd. You've probably heard of it, maybe not. And I'm at most of the shows now because I'm the booth manager here. I do that too.
Okay.
But if not there, then we are absolutely available on Amazon for hard copies, Barnes & Noble for hard copies, and then for digital, if you prefer that, Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Smashwords. I think that's
So
it.
just Google it.
Yes, I'm there.
That's what I always tell people. Just
if
Google
you
it.
Google Quincy J. Allen. Make sure you get the J in there. The other Quincy Allen is
Not as kosher.
not me. Definitely not.
Okay.
Not me. There's a story there that I won't go into.
Alrighty.
Definitely not me.
Well, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
It was great meeting you.
Yes, nice meeting you.
Books
too.
sound cool. We'll definitely be picking one up. So stay tuned for more in just a bit here on the Bean and Bake podcast.
Bye now.
And we're back here at ConnectiCon. We're here with Dave Butler, another member of the Tower of Nerd. So tell us a little about your book, Clockwork Charlie.
Hi, Hi, Mark. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. So this came out about 3 weeks ago. I'm very excited about it. It's my big press debut. It's from Knopf. And this is a story of a boy named Charlie. Charlie is a reader. He longs to be an adventurer, but Dad won't let him outside the house. And so he reads, and then one day trolls kidnap his father, and Charlie has to organize the rescue party. It's a story about matriarchal warrior pixies and heartbroken troll lawyers and a hero with a secret even he does not know.
Ah, very fancy. So is this your first initial book total, or have you done other stuff before this?
So I've got lots of stuff. This is my big press debut. So
Okay.
I've got, with Wordfire Press, I've got a steampunk novel, City of the Saints. I've got a series called Rock Band Fights Evil, and dark science fiction trilogy starting with Kreschling. This is out from Random House, and then I've got a series with Bain that the first book publishes in March.
Oh, wow. So I asked our last guest, tell us, so how long does it take you to get through a book, like to start and finish?
To write.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it depends. So this book I wrote this in 1 month.
Wow.
That's it's 30 chapters, and I planned it out to be 30 chapters. In the rough draft, they were each 8 pages long, and I write 8 pages in about 2 hours. So I wrote this in 1 month, writing a chapter every day. My upcoming epic fantasy is 4 times as long as this, and I wrote it faster. Actually, I wrote it in about 2.5 months.
Wow.
So I'm a reasonably quick writer when I'm writing full time. Yeah.
It took me 2 months to do a term paper in college. And that was only 8 pages. Wow, I'm astonished. It always baffles me that people can write that quick and be able to come up with that stuff. So, when did you know that you wanted to do writing as your job, pretty much? Is it something that you always did as a kid, or is it something that you kind of gradually got into?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I was 7, my dad, who was an academic career professor, just retired, but back then he was traveling to a lot of academic conferences, and he came back and he brought me a copy of the Silver Jubilee edition of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit with the Daryl K. Sweet covers, and I didn't leave bed for a week, and I read them all.
Wow.
Almost burned the house down when I fell asleep with the reading lamp, and it fell forward and plonked on my pillow, and I woke up with a hole burned in my pillow. So I wanted to be a writer.
That also shows how long ago it was that it was something that could burn the pillow.
Yeah, it's been a few years. So look, I've wanted to be a writer that long. I thought in high school I would be a writer, and then I chickened out and went to law school instead. So just down the road here, I went to school in New York. I spent 13 years being a corporate and securities lawyer. In fact, one of my roles here at Wordfire Press is when we need a general counsel, I do that too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so
multitasking.
Exactly. But in 2010, I had the opportunity to take sort of a 90-degree turn and wrote full time for a couple of years. And it's taken me, like I say, from then until my big press debut was 6 years, and that's 6 years of writing, but also promoting, networking, self-publishing, getting published by Wordfire, which is a mid-sized independent publisher. So, you know, all my life I wanted to be a writer. I started trying seriously 6 years ago.
Alrighty. So is Clockwork Charlie going to be a series, or is this a one-off, or?
This is a series. The rhythms of big press publishing are such that Book 2 not only has been written, but it's gone through 2 rounds of editing and is with proofing now. Book 3 has been written and has not yet gone to the editor to be looked at. So I'm hoping ultimately this is a 6-book series, although we'll see.
So is it like when you're promoting the book, since you've done the other 3 or the other 2 already?
Yeah.
Is it tough for you to try to not let out stuff that's coming that people don't know about yet?
Yes, it is, and in fact, this is the kind of book that has spoilers.
Yeah.
There's an ensemble cast of characters, and they all have secrets of various kinds. So I have to be very careful what I say. But it's an adventure story for readers of all ages. Kirkus compares it to Pinocchio and the Great Mouse Detective, and it's getting a really good response.
That's awesome. So if someone's looking for Clockwork Charlie or wants to check it out, where would they be able to get a copy of it?
Well, I can tell you that I signed 2 copies over in the West Hartford Barnes & Noble day before yesterday.
Now, did they know about it, or did you just sign random copies?
And I just snuck in. No, I went and I said, hey, I'm looking for this book, and they said, we have it, and I said, oh, I'm the author. Look, there's
me.
a picture of me and back. And so that was good enough.
My gosh.
And so I signed their copies. Yeah, it's called, so the character is named Charlie. The series is called The Extraordinary Journeys of Clockwork Charlie, but the book is called The Kidnap Plot. The Kidnap Plot.
Okay.
On and by the way, if you search Amazon for The Kidnap Plot, you get all these books with like JFK conspiracy theories and
how to
stuff.
kidnap people.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
How to.
But yeah,
Kidnapping for dummies.
The Kidnap Plot Butler, my last name, will bring up this book. You can get it on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. A lot of indie bookstores are carrying it. You can order it through Barnes & Noble if they don't have it on the shelves, which many of them do.
So genre-wise, like, is this like what level reader is it for? Is it like a preteen or is it older?
So the goal is to write an adventure story for anybody. So what the publisher and what Amazon say is 8 to 14. So middle reader is the ostensible audience.
That's awesome. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. The book looks awesome.
Marc,
Check it
Brian,
out.
Thank you guys both very much.
Thank you again, and keep an eye out for The Kidnap Plot in your local bookstore or library. So we're walking through ConnectiCon, and I walked by this booth, and there's spaceships exploding, so I had to stop. It's Star Realms, a deck building game, and we're here with Darwin, who is the game creator. So he's the guy to talk to about Star Realms, the deck building game. So tell us, how did you get about with building Star Realms?
Well, so I am a game designer, and I was out of work, and I want to go to the West Coast and interview at a bunch of game companies, and I felt my interview would go better if I designed a game that I could show them to, like, look how good I am at designing games. So I made a prototype for this game, and I really like deck building games, but I felt at the time the one thing all deck building games were missing was they weren't interactive enough. A lot of times deck building games are like playing 2 games of solitaire, where at some point you and your opponent compare notes to see who did better at solitaire. Right? So what I've done with Star Realms is I've made it so each player has a score, and you're trying to reduce your opponent's score to 0. All right, and that made the game a lot more interactive. You're attacking their bases, you're attacking them, they're attacking your bases, they're attacking you, and that really was a game changer. And I was really excited about it. And one of my friends who had owned game companies previously said, this game is really good. Instead of going and getting a job somewhere else, why don't we make our own company and make this game? And I found that pretty compelling.
Okay.
So my friend Rob Dory and I founded White Wizard Games. We're based out of Massachusetts.
Okay, cool.
And this was our first game. We've since made some more games, but matter of fact, we're kickstarting a fantasy version of Star Realms right now called Hero Realms. I believe there's about 4 days left in the Kickstarter, so I don't know when you're going up live, but
hopefully next week if I have enough time.
Okay, well, in that case, it'll be too late to kickstart this, but when this game comes out, you'll want to try it. But anyways, that's Hero Realms. But as far as Star Realms goes, we did win the Tabletop Game of the Year at South by Southwest. We won a bunch of Golden Geek Awards, a bunch of Dice Tower Awards. So it's a pretty popular game. We even have an app that you can download for free on Steam and on Android, iOS, Mac, and you download it for free. You play against the easy AI, you take the tutorial, and then if you like it and you want to play against the hard AI or the hard campaign, or even go online and play against other human beings, it's a $5 one-time fee, and then you open up the whole game.
That's crazy.
And even one of the things that makes it special is even the physical game is really economical. So all you need for 2 players to play is in this one $15 box. Normally a deck builder, they throw in a big cardboard board and they charge you 40 or 50 bucks for it. And you get the same amount of gameplay, if not more, for a lot less money. And that's another reason why we've really caught on is we're just giving you so much gameplay per dollar. As far as how it plays, each player starts with a 10-card deck. You have 8 scouts and 2 vipers. Scouts produce trade, which is how you buy new cards for your deck. Vipers produce combat, and combat is how you attack your opponent's score in an effort to win the game. There's a trade row with 5 cards in it that come off the trade deck, and these are the cards that you and your opponent can be buying. So you'll shuffle your deck, And most of the time you're going to have 5 cards that you start the turn with. In this case, I've got 4 scouts and a viper, which means I've got 4 trade and 1 combat. So I'd attack my opponent for 1, reducing their score from 50 to 49. And with a 4 trade, I've got a lot of options. Here in yellow, it shows the cost of the card. So this one costs 4, so I could just buy it, put it in my discard pile, and it gets replaced with the next card from the trade deck, excuse me. So over the course of the game, your options of what to buy is constantly evolving because every time you buy a card, a new card gets turned up. So you never, you don't know exactly what's coming. The other nice thing is a lot of the cards have what are called ally abilities. So like this one, normally this card gives you 3 combat, which helps you defeat your opponent or blow up their bases, but it has an ally ability. If you play another green card, because that's what the symbol of that is, you will also get to draw a card. So if I play this blob fighter, but then play this ram, I'll get to draw a card, plus I'll get extra combat from the ram, because they help each other, because they're allies. Wow. So that's an incentive to get more cards of the same color, 1 or 2 colors. It can definitely make your deck more powerful. So there's 2 types of cards. There's ships and there's bases. So normally with a ship, you play it, it does its thing, and then it goes to your discard pile at the end of the turn. But with a base, when you draw it, you play it face up in front of you, and it stays there until your opponent uses enough combat to get rid of it. Like this one has a defense of 4, so
you have to play 4 cards.
Your opponent needs to have 4 combat to get rid of it.
Ah,
all right.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, I can use it every turn to either gain 2 health or gain, 2 trade.
Okay. So I'm just kind of looking at it.
Sure.
And I'm seeing the drawing on it. Is that like someone you had do it for you, or how'd that come about?
So I'm the art director for the game. Basically, when we first started, we were a 3-person company, and so we all had to wear a bunch of hats. And none of us had experience as an art director, but the big advantage for me was, since I created the game, I had a vision in my head for kind of what I thought stuff should look like. So we tried various artists, and most of this art's done by a company named Graphics Manufacture, who does digital art, and as you can see, they do pretty cool spaceships and bases.
Pretty intense.
And basically, I send them art briefs saying, I really need a ship that looks like, this one I want one that look kind of like a horseshoe crab, but it's also a spaceship.
Yeah.
And so I tell them my vision for it. They come back with sketches, and I say, I like this sketch, and then they come back with a more developed piece, and we end up making my vision come onto a piece of cardboard. We now do fantasy games, which involve a little bit more advanced artwork. So when you've got actual people and monsters and vampires and dragons and stuff, it requires a little bit more complicated art direction. But I was able to cut my teeth on the spaceships and bases, and now I basically am filling up most of my days doing art direction. But I find time to do more game design. But
That's awesome.
it's we're now have a lot more than 3 people in our company, but we're still pretty busy because now we have a lot more than one game.
Yeah. So if someone's looking to get Star Realms, where would they go to get it?
So you could buy it from our online store at StarRealms.com or WhiteWizardGames.com.
Okay.
You could also buy it from Amazon, or you could just go to your local game store and buy it.
Oh, wow.
Among things, your local game store might hold tournaments where they give away promo cards and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we do provide tournament packs that stores can use to run tournaments.
Yeah.
We're running tournaments here at ConnectiCon.
So what is that like, though? I mean, I'm just seeing your game that you just randomly came up with, kind of out in a store while you're out shopping, and you see your cards sitting there. What is that like?
It's pretty amazing. Will Wheaton recently did an episode of Tabletop where he featured it.
Yeah.
He says that he drains the battery on his phone on every flight playing Star Realms on his phone. And when I find out stuff like that, it really blows my mind.
I just passed out.
I mean, you do things long enough, you get a little bit jaded. So when you're we sold another 100,000 copies of Star Realms.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I go online and I see a Chinese website where just pictures of people in China playing Star Realms in Chinese, it's a pretty big thrill.
It's wait a minute.
I didn't realize quite how satisfying being a game designer could be, because you create something, and to have that many people find it engaging, that many people like it, and
and it's yours. It's a little different than what you were saying before. You used to work for a company and you were just doing stuff that they wanted you to do, and now this is actually
The-
your baby you came up with and
The
all
fact that I didn't get a job with another company has turned out to be a huge blessing in disguise. Like the fact that it's now my company, or partly my company, I'm one of the owners of it, and that like it's my company, my game. It's just really thrilling, and it's hard to put into words quite how exciting it is. It's a weird form of celebrity. Like most people have no clue who I am, but a few people are like, "Oh, will you sign my Star Helms card or whatever?" And it's like, that's cool. I carry around and shop it with me just in case.
Yeah, no, we've had that too a couple times. People like said stuff to us like, "Oh, listen to your podcast." We're like, why? Why do you? Why? It's just us talking about random stuff.
I understand
but I totally
why
see
they
how,
play Star Helms because
I know. But it's just like,
I usually have about 30 online games going at once. I play Star Realms morning, noon, and night. And after playing it, tens of thousands of times, I'm still not bored with it. It really has
awesome.
a lot of replay
That's fantastic.
value.
Well, thank you for your time. It was really cool. Like, honestly, I've never played a deck building game, but this is really cool.
Maybe it's time to change that.
Maybe it's time to change that. Maybe it is. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more here at ConnectiCon. So we're walking through ConnectiCon, and of course, the Merc with the mouth is here, checking out Shoop, listening to some Shoop before he goes and kills some people. So Deadpool, how's your day going?
Pretty good, pretty good. I've been running with that one. Can't get it. See, get it shot.
That's so awesome. So, how long did it take you to get over here?
About a few hours. I'm from the other side of Connecticut.
Wow. So, how long did it take you to come up with your costume?
All year. I've been working on it a lot.
So, do you do any assassins today, or are you just here chilling out?
I'm just chilling out. If I see that pile of dick tips, Francis. Cute.
Very cool. So, you can see anyone here at ConnectiCon. Deadpool just hanging out on a ledge, listening to some Shoop. All right, we're back here at the Tower of Nerd. We're here with David Farland, writer of Nightingale. Tell us what about Nightingale.
Well, this is a story about a young man who is abandoned at birth, and he gets kicked around from foster home to foster home because he's too strange. And he finally meets a teacher who recognizes that he's not even human. And it's a story about him discovering who he is, where he came from, and how all hell breaks loose afterwards.
Oh, very cool. So I noticed that's not your only book you have. You have other books as well.
No, I've done
tell
lots
us
of things, everything from Star Wars to my probably most famous series is the Rune Lord series. But I've written over about 60 books at this point. I'm also the coordinating judge, the lead judge for the world's largest science fiction and fantasy writing contest, the Writers of the Future contest. And I teach writing workshops. I've trained over nearly 100 New York Times best-selling authors at this point.
Wow. So how'd you first start writing? Did you start when you were really young, or is it something that came about?
You know, I got the bug when I was about 16 or 17. I knew that I wanted to be a doctor at the time, and so I went to college and studied medicine until I finally just found myself writing one day. But the writing bug bit me hard. I decided I would try to make enough money so that I could afford to go on dates while I was in college. I ended up winning a whole bunch of prize money from a bunch of different contests, and so I started out really being a prize writer, and that led to a 3-novel contract with Bantam Books, and my career just took off after that.
So what was your very first book that you got published?
My very first book was this one here, called On My Way to Paradise. Won the Philip K. Dick Award for best for being one of the best science fiction novels of the year, and it also became a bestseller on the science fiction bestseller list. Stayed up there for about 5 months, and it's a story about a Panamanian doctor 400 years in the future who gets involved in some political intrigues and has to flee Earth. So he joins some group of mercenaries to go fight a war on another planet between 2 Japanese corporations. So it's kind of a fun.
So what was that? What was that like that first time when you got the book out there, and then then when you started to see it like blossom like that and then get all the awards? What was that like? That just feed like you want to do more and just get out there?
Yeah. I think I think anytime that you have some success in writing, it just encourages you to want to go do more. And a lot of people who are young writers come to me and they're discouraged and they're like, what can I do? And I say, look at your successes. And you've got lots of them. You may have had somebody that in a writing group, for example, who tells you that, I just read this last night and it made me cry, or, this was a fantastic paragraph. I just read a story last week. I've probably read the first pages of 100,000 stories over the years because I do run this large international writing contest. I just had to tell the lady, this is the best first page I've ever seen on any book, novel, or story, period, in 30 years of being a contest judge.
Wow.
And so, she was in tears by the time I was done giving her some praise. Then, of course,
I bet, yeah. It'd be like Steven Spielberg telling someone that they're really good at their first film of their movie was really good.
Yes,
like,
exactly. I want you to be my director.
Wow. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
So how'd you get hooked up with this group? And then I was talking with a couple other guys. Like, this group is like, it's crazy. It's like a traveling, like almost like the traveling Wilburys of authors. You guys just all like wander from place to place.
I've met Kevin over 30 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. And so, there are books that authors have that maybe you've got the rights back to them from the publishers and you want to do something with them. We just said, let's go ahead and promote our works together. And, the world is changing. It used to be that the biggest convention in the country was maybe 6,000 people. Now we go to a Comic-Con like this and I'll have 150,000 people.
Yeah.
And so it gives us an opportunity to meet our fans that we've never had before, And so that's exciting for us as writers.
As I was driving in, I was saying to him, like, the line was, we've been doing this for like 5 years now, and the line this year was way longer than we've ever seen it. And I was like, it's going to be crazy in here. But it's actually kind of nice that it's not super slammed. But
it can't get too busy.
Yeah. I'd be remiss as a nerd and a Star Wars fan if I did not mention your Star Wars book.
Yes.
How did you get hooked into doing the Star Wars stuff? And how did that? Was that like very strict, or was it just?
No, it's actually pretty easy. I was writing for Bantam Books, and they had a contract. They signed a contract with Lucasfilm to do some books, and so they called me up and asked if I would be interested. I was a big Star Wars nerd. I watched the first movie like 35 times when it came out, and I didn't know that there'd be videotapes, so I had to remember it all word for word so that I could make sure that I understood what was going on. Anyway, and so I was just excited by the prospect of writing it. I sat down and outlined it, sent it in to Lucasfilm, and George Lucas wrote back, said he loved the idea, and gave me the go-ahead. And it was just really easy and delightful to work with them.
That's awesome. I don't even know, like, if they called me and said anything, like, we want you to look at a picture from Star Wars. They'd be like, okay, sure, yes, please. I can't imagine them being like, hey, would you write a whole book based off our characters and everything? That must have been amazing.
That really is. I've worked on other film projects and stuff, and some of them are much harder to work with. I did some things, for example, with Star Wars Episode 1. I was asked to write a little book for them there, and that was really hard because at the time, all the characters were still top secret. I couldn't see a picture of them, didn't know what they sounded like.
My gosh.
It's really hard to write something when you don't know what the character looks like. I had to look on the internet and try to make guesses as to who was who because there are a few pictures had leaked out.
So Nightingale, we'll go back to your book that's coming out. Is this out? That's out now.
This is out now. Nightingale won the International Book Award for Best Young Adult Novel of the Year, and the Hollywood Book Festival Award for Best Book of the Year, along with about half a dozen other awards. And so this one's out now, and you can get it here through Wordfire, or you can go on my website and just go to davidfarland.com and find out about it.
That's very awesome. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much, and we'll be back with more here in just a bit.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, we're back here at ConnectiCon, and we've come across an old fan favorite of all of us here at the podcast. It's High Adventure, everybody. Hey. I list off all their names, but I'll let them say it themselves because I can't remember everyone's names.
Glenn, keyboards and lead vocals.
Brian, guitar.
David, soubaphone.
Stuart, trombone, backup keyboard.
David, trumpet and backing vocals.
John, assorted percussion, I guess.
That was like my Ed Sullivan moment there for a second. Tell us all your names, boys.
Where are you from?
Yeah, where are you from? All the way from Hoboken.
Where were you when this song was number 1?
High Adventure.
All right.
So, how's it going, guys? You guys are on your 5th album now.
Yep. 5th album.
Crazy.
Titled High Five, for obvious reasons. And this is the first album that really features the whole 8-piece band. Up till now, it's been like sort of me and Brian, or me and Brian and Dave. But this was a Kickstarter that we did last year, funded the album, huge success. We went in the studio and really made the album that we always wanted to make. So we're very proud of High Five. It's really cool. The artwork is beautiful.
Wow.
The custom made by Brian Fulton. That's an art piece that we shot. It's just a wonderful piece of artwork that we're very proud of. New album.
So, where did the High Adventure come from?
When I was a kid, 1984, I saw a headline for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in the Hartford Current. It said High Adventure, and I still have that. And I said to my friend at the time, that would be a great band name. So we made a band when we were about 13 called High Adventure. And even though he's moved to California, the band still exists. I've known some of these guys for 25 years, and we've always made music, and this just became the natural evolution of our nerdiness and our desire to write songs that weren't about, breaking up and, and like the blues. We just want to sing like nerdy rock songs, so now 5 albums deep, that's exactly what we've done.
So, now people who might not know, I don't know why they wouldn't, High Adventure, like you were saying, isn't your normal everyday band. What do you guys write about? What is your music about?
At first, it was like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, because that was where our minds were at. And then we realized there's a market for this music, so we started to write about other stuff.
Like Velma.
Like Velma, or
Why wouldn't you write about Velma?
Star Trek, Back to the Future,
Yeah, it's a love song called
movies,
Red Skirt Girl.
comic books, Pirates of the Caribbean, Tron, and there's something for everybody on this new album. And really, the last 3 albums, very diverse fan-wise. So trying to hit all them, but the things that make us happy too. We're not just trying to make songs that we think people will like. They're songs that we like and that move us and resonate with us, and hopefully people like them too.
So, if people want to get the new album, where would they go to find it?
It's on iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, Bandcamp, or come to a show and we'll just give you one because we're nice guys.
All right. Well, would you guys grace us with a song, maybe? Sure. Look at that. We're getting a free song. What are we going to hear?
We're going to hear 10/21/15, which has now passed, but was the actual date that Marty McFly goes back to the future. I was tired of all those memes on Facebook. They're like, today's the date. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not.
No, it's not. So I said, this is the definitive date, and this is the song. So
You want the Ed Sullivan intro?
Yes.
All right, I'll do it. Well, actually, it's Dick Clark intro. Right. I'll give you a Dick Clark intro. All right, kids, here's a new tune from the guys from High Adventure. 10, 20, 10, 15, 21. I messed up the name. Here they are, High Adventure!
Today's the day that Marty McFly went back to the future. We didn't know 30 years ago. Seemed like we'd never get there. Now here we are, no flying cars and no Jaws 19. What do you know? Van Halen's on the road and the Force Awakens. 10/21/15. Not like I looked on screen. Oh, decades going by, how the years they fly. Now we live in future time. Today's the day the DeLorean arrives from 1985. never knew what the internet could do on such a bright, tiny screen. But some things never change, the power of love remains, and the pull of gravity. 10, 21, 15, not like it looked on screen. Oh, decades going by, how the years they fly. Now we live in future time. Yeehaw! Knows where we go from here, but you are my destiny. The continuum is fine, it's a whole new timeline, so let's make history before we're history. 10, 21, 15, not like it looked on screen. Oh, decades going by, how the years did fly. Now we live in future time. 10, 21, 15, not like it